Hello and welcome everyone to the Marr Show. Well, E3 has come and gone, and I have to say this year's E3 was good. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on compared to last year's. I mean, last year's had tons of great surprises, but this year felt like a normal E3 at least. We got some good games announced from the other four companies: Sony, Microsoft, Ubisoft, a lot of soft I realize, and Bethesda. But for Nintendo, they run things different by just doing a Treehouse live event throughout all of E3, showcasing mostly the new Zelda game and a few other small surprises here and there. So it kind of disappointed me in a way that Nintendo didn't announce any specific games, or like announce any more games that we didn't know about, but what they showed off was good. And yeah, E3 is always a good time. It's a time to see what games you're excited to play, what innovative gadgets and consoles are going to be coming out in the near future, and just what will be in store for all of gaming, whether it's mobile, console, VR now, and all that stuff. E3 is a good time. And today, I'll be doing my top 10 games of E3 2016, like I did with last year, but with it being 2016. It's like a time council for the future, or past, or whatever you want to call it. And like always, this is my personal list, not everybody's, so please enjoy my top 10 games of E3 2016. Wait a sec, didn't I already do a top 10 video, or a top 7? Who cares? Begin!
Number 10!
Out of all the conferences that happened at E3 this year, Sony's was probably the best one, the best executed, and the best one that showcased tons of games. And not to mention, there was actually a surprise halfway through the show that caught me off guard by a long shot. I know some people may have predicted this already, but actually, instead of explain it, I'll just show you the clip of what they showcased.
I'm proud to announce that we work with our partners at Activision, who are going to bring back the original Crash, Crash 2, and Crash Warped, fully remastered from the ground up for PlayStation 4.
This is something that many people have been asking for the longest time. I mean, Crash Bandicoot, dang it! Crash Bandicoot is without doubt a classic trilogy of games on the original PlayStation. Now granted, I have not played much of Crash. In fact, I only owned the first game on the PS1, and not to mention the fact that I didn't grow up with Crash specifically because I was always for Nintendo. But still, I respect Crash for what he did for Sony, being one of the most major platformers on the first console, and what he did for gaming. I mean, Crash is an icon, and seeing them remastering the first 3 games for PS4 is something that everyone that I know has been asking for. And now, the only reason why I'm putting Crash on the bottom of this list is because we didn't really get any gameplay footage. In fact, we only got a screenshot of the first level, I'm guessing, in the background. So there wasn't really like a whole lot to showcase. So that's why I'm putting Crash number 10 on the list. And I'm pretty sure we'll see gameplay footage next year's E3. But in terms of when it'll be released, I'm predicting more of 2018 for when the Crash game remakes will be out. But I'm still excited for it. Oh, and in case anyone's wondering about what I thought about Crash and Skylander Imagineers, it's okay. I mean, it's kind of odd seeing a character we haven't seen in years return in a different game, but they can do whatever they want, I guess. Don't take that lightly. There's only so much you can do.
Number 9!
Heavy Rain is one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 3 now. Well, it was, and then there was other games that it's one of my favorites on the system. It's definitely different from the games I'm used to, like I'm used to platformers and RPGs, and this game plays like a movie but with a lot of quick time events, and definitely had a lot of twists and turns, different outcomes that actually made it more of a game that does play like a movie but it plays like a game. I think it balances out perfectly, and I really enjoy it. And seeing how Quantum Dream is making another game for the PS4, aka Detroit Become Human, I'm excited for it because the story is definitely interesting. The CG facial animations in the game looks unbelievable, and it's definitely a game that I'm excited to play when it comes out. Maybe next year or something, but I'm definitely excited to play this game. I guess the only thing I'm kind of disappointed is that a few years ago, Quantum Dream actually did a tech demo of the PS4, and it was called The Dark Sorcerer. And it played out like a comedy, and it was a hilarious 10 to 12 minute tech demo, and I even have it on my computer because I just love watching it because it's so hilarious. I was expecting them to do a comedy for the next one, honestly, like either it was Dark Sorcerer or different one, you know, it would be funny to see them do a comedy in that type of style. But honestly, with the fact they're so used to doing drama related games, it's kind of understandable why they didn't do that. But I will actually like to see them do a comedy game like Heavy Rain but with Dark Sorcerer in the future. It will be interesting to see David Cage, I think that's the director's name, I hope I got that right, David Cage to do a comedy game. That would be pretty cool, but you know what, still, I'm excited for Detroit Become Human when it comes out.
Number 8.
I haven't played any main series Pokemon games since Diamond. I mean, I played the original Pokemon, Crystal, Ruby and Sapphire, but when it came to Diamond, that was my last one in the main series because it just didn't feel the same. It lacked the charm and quality, and it just wasn't that good, to be honest. Not to mention with the other future games, the Pokemon just got weirder and weirder. But after looking at more gameplay footage and trailers for Pokemon Sun and Moon, I'm actually thinking about going back into the series, more specifically just playing Pokemon Sun and Moon, because looking at it, it brought me back how Pokemon originally felt, going on a quest around different islands now. Okay, technically the island is Hawaii instead of Aloha region, but it's not bad for them to make the game centered around Hawaii. I think that's a fun idea. And so far the game looks really colorful and bright. The new Pokemon showcase have tons of personality except for Young Goose because he looks like he wants to eat me and devour my flesh. But I have to say, the Pokemon so far look pretty cool and adorable as well. The Battle Royale, the 4-player match, I love that idea. That's something that I was hoping they did back in the DS generation, but I think just with the whole Wi-Fi connection, it just took them long. So I'm excited to see how the Battle Royale will do, and I can't wait to face 3 of my other friends with my Pokemon team. In fact, I even chose my starter Pokemon already. Pupaloo! Oh, come on, he's so adorable! Look at the little sea lion, and he's so blue and so cute and precious!
You are so cute, I can't stand it!
Number 7.
God of War, a game series that's very popular among so many people, but it's a series I haven't really touched on, mainly because, I'm not saying I'm not against it, I've been wanting to play God of War, all the games, for the longest time. It's just, I get distracted easily with other games coming out or what's going on with real life and all that stuff, and it's kind of hard to try to find time to play God of War. I know they're not extremely long games, mind you, but it's hard to find time to play specific games when you're so busy with life. I mean, it just happens. But after seeing the trailer for God of War 4, okay, technically it's called just God of War, but everyone's just gonna call it God of War 4, so might as well call it. So the 4th one looks really interesting. It looks beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful games I've seen on the PS4 to date. The story looks very interesting. I love the relationship between Kratos and the kid. I don't know if his son or... I haven't played any of the God of War games, so I can't tell. But it definitely was interesting and very... You got so engaged with the characters interacting in the trailer. Not to mention, Kratos looks amazing with a beard. In fact, I'm hoping to grow a beard like that one day soon.
No!
Please don't! No! Anything but that! No! No! Are you okay? I'm sorry, man. It's just seeing you with that beard. It turns into someone that I don't even know. It turns you into a monster, I tell you. A horrible, vicious monster. Why do you do this to yourself, man? Why? Bug off. Okay. Yeah, anyway, the only thing I'm kind of concerned about with the game is the camera angle that is on. Now, the game has switched from the camera being wide open so you can see all the enemies around you, to now fixed in a third-person perspective like, say, Batman, Arkham Asylum, or Resident Evil 4. And while I admit it's different, I'd like for them to try a different approach with it, I'm worried that if you have a lot of enemies around you, you wouldn't be able to tell what's behind you without the camera being wide out so you can see where enemies are charging you at all angles. But I'm sure that the game will be fun, and it definitely looks interesting, and I'm actually now hoping to find time to play the God of War series before I jump into the forefront.
Number 6.
Virtual reality games have become so popular over the years. I mean, with the fact that we got 3 different headsets coming out in the near future, and this year we had tons of VR games showed off, which is always good because after the Virtual Boy incident, virtual reality is something that I don't know how that will work in the game, but seeing this, all the games they showed off looked really cool. You got some generic ones, but you also got some really interesting ones, like the Star Trek VR game, which, even though I'm not a fan of the series, I have to admit, being part of the Enterprise crew is actually a really cool idea. But one VR game that I am personally interested in is Eagle Flight from Ubisoft. Now, Eagle Flight is a PvP game where you have a flea basically try to grab the prey to get to the nest, and it's kind of like soccer or football but in the air. That's a horrible explanation, but I couldn't think of anything else. But one thing that I love about the game is it just looks like it's so beautiful, and not to mention the fact that your perspective in the game is on a bird's eye view. That's something that I've been wanting to see replicate in the game for so long. Not third person, but first person, like you're actually flying above the city, clouds, and diving like that. It just looks so beautiful. I mean, we heard so many people, like in movies and songs, written about how people want to fly like a bird so they can just fly away and be free and stuff like that. And this game looks to replicate that feeling. And honestly, even though it'll probably be another year, but I'm definitely going to give myself a VR headset. I don't know which one though, because, you know, it gets kind of confusing which ones are exclusives and which one are third parties, but just to play this game alone is worth it because I just love the idea of flying like a bird, and I just want to fly like an eagle in the sea, fly like an eagle, yet my spirit carry me.
Number 5.
The Elder Scrolls Skyrim is a very huge game. Not just in size and scope of what's in the game, but also for the community, because the game has so many mods, has been played by tons of different people. I never really personally touched Skyrim because I was busy with other games at the time, but I have to say, looking at the remastered version, or Skyrim Special Edition, that's coming out later in October, it actually is making me want to play the game because the game looks a lot better than it did when it came out on the 360 and PS3. And one feature I really love about the remastered game of Skyrim is that you can actually use mods, not just on PC, but on the consoles, which is something I've been wanting to see replicate in consoles for the longest time, to see mods being used on home consoles, not just PC. Now, the idea of remastering games is a very controversial subject. On one hand, remastering games are good because, like, say, Golden Sphere, Final Fantasy XII, or heck, even Wind Waker, seeing those games remastered definitely made them better and rebuilt engines. They just look much more pretty and play better on newer consoles, even though Final Fantasy XII will be released later on this year, I think. I can't remember. On the other hand, you have some remasters that are just lazy and seem kind of pointless because they were released last year, like The Last of Us, the Uncharted games, God of War 3, just the third game without 1 or 2 in it. That's a pretty dumb decision, mind you. But you know what? I know some people who actually played some of the remaster games who hadn't played it back on the PS3 or Xbox 360. They absolutely love it. And you know what? if you haven't played the game last gen and played it this gen, I guess that's fine, but I wish companies didn't do it that often because it seems lazy. But Skyrim Remastered, I'm actually interested, only just because of the fact that you can use mods on home consoles, and it just looks nicer, and I'm hoping that it's not as buggy as Skyrim was when it came out, so I'm excited for it.
Number 4.
One of the best TV licensed games out there has to be South Park: The Stick of Truth. Now this game, I love this. It's one of my top 10 favorite RPGs. Not only does it look like the show, Matt Stone and Trey Parker working heavily on the game, writing the script, voice acting, etc. And not to mention this game had tons upon tons of references to the show's 17th season history. Well, at the time it was released during the show's 17th season. But not to mention the combat was enjoyable and was easy to learn but had a lot of depth. And yeah, the game was pretty short by standards, but I still loved the game. And seeing more footage of South Park: The Fractured But Whole looks amazing, and I'm excited to play this game. The story will literally be taken off literally one day after Stick of Truth, which is hilarious. Not to mention the combat, it's definitely different. It's not. I was hoping they were gonna do the same thing as they did a Stick of Truth, but I love how now you can move your characters around, especially like if you want to hide a character around obstacle to avoid damage. That's pretty cool. It just looks so much fun, and I can't wait to see how Matt and Trey wrote the story for this game, how the gameplay plays out, and it just looks so much fun, and I can't wait to play this game.
Number 3.
Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Enough said. This game looks beautiful. It's gonna be huge. It's one of the biggest Zelda games to date, and not just by impact, because this game was one of the most talked about games of E3, but the game is gonna be huge. Like the Great Plateau area that they showcase mostly in is just 1% of the gaming world. Now I know some people will say, oh, but the game may not be as big as like say Fallout 4 or something like that. I don't know, but the fact that they're taking Zelda, a game that is loved by so many people, and doing so much to make this game so different, it's gonna be a good experience. It's gonna be familiar for Zelda fans, but the way it's gonna be played out, it's gonna be a very different and a wonderful, unique experience, and I can't wait to play this game. It's gonna be probably one of the best Zelda games out there. And my favorite out of all time is Link Between Worlds and Wind Waker. Those are my two favorite in the games. I just love those two, but this game gets to top all of them from the looks of it. Now the only question remaining is whether to get the Wii U version or the NX version. Difficult choice, but I'm probably just going to end up getting the Nintendo NX version just because it'll probably run smoother and will look better on that. But who knows, it just looks fun and I can't wait to play it. And also, it just looks so beautiful. I could...
Number 2.
Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64 are two of my all-time favorite games ever. I love playing them both to death. I love the collective fun feel, exploring the open world, and the platform. It's all perfect in its own platforminess glory. And sadly, that's a type of platforming genre we don't see anymore. Exploring an open level, trying to collect either 100 coins or stars, jigsaw pieces, whatever. It's a type of genre that I know some people may find tedious because collecting them does get kind of old after a while. But I love that type of genre. You name it, whether it's Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Tooie, Jak and Daxter, and all those type of games that have that collective fun feel. It's a type of platformer series that we don't really see in games anymore. Sure, there are some that may replicate, but not in that particular style. Ukulele, on the other hand, looks to be that game that will bring back that platforming goodness for this generation. Ukulele is a game that was a Kickstarter project back, I think, 2014, I want to say 2014 or 2015, I can't remember exactly, but it's made by the same people that did Banjo-Kazooie, and all the other rare goodness that we know and love. So you can tell this game is in good hands, and looking at the gameplay footage, not only does this game does a great job at bringing back the old elements from Banjo-Kazooie, but it also does an excellent job of making its own identity. I mean, you can tell the Banjo-Kazooie references, but this game has such an original personality with it, and it just looks so much fun to explore the levels, collecting all the Platonic coins and stuff. And I also love the designs for Ukulele. I mean, sure, it's odd to see a chameleon team up with a bat, but you know what, it works perfectly, and both these characters looks to be a lot of fun to speak and stuff, and it just looks a lot of fun to play. And I know I say that a lot, but I can't help it. It just looks fun and so imaginative, and I can't wait to play it. But the only downside to Ukulele, it was that at E3 they confirmed that the game was pushed back from later on this year to the first quarter of 2017. And you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, sure, delayed games suck. In fact, Nintendo's guilty of it with so many of their titles. But you know what? I'm a patient person. I mean, if you want the game to be pitch perfect, to make it as clean, bug-free, and just overall be the game that you want to make, take your time on it. I don't care if it's a 1 year or even a 5-year gap for a game. Take your time on the project, and you will soon see that it will be pitch perfect, and the time wait was worth it to make an unbelievable experience. I mean, we're all adults here. I mean, it's not like someone out there will literally send deaf friends to a game studio just cause they delayed the game a few months ago. I mean, come on, that would be so... And before we get to number 1, let's take a look at the honorable mentions from this year's E3. These are the games that I am interested in, but I didn't put on my list because I was excited for other games. And some of them may look familiar from last year's because they're probably still the same as I felt before, but who cares? Begin! And my number 1 game of E3 2016 goes to... This was a horrible idea. Holy crap, it's cold! Cuphead. I love Cuphead. This game is right up my alley in terms of games that I've been wanting to see for the longest time. Next to Eagle Flight, Ukulele, and etc, etc, etc. But Cuphead is the one that interested me the most because it's just breathing with personality, breathing with creativity, breathing with eccentric goodness of everything I love about the game. The 1920s, 30s cartoon styling looks perfect, and it's the type of style that I love. I love this art style of cartoons with a passion, and seeing them putting that type of style into these characters in a game like this, it just pops right out of the screen, and the character designs are so wonderful. The characters have tons of personality, love the facial expressions, but you know what, even just the gameplay itself is a wonderful treat. Yes, it's a run-and-gun platformer game, but there's nothing wrong with that, because it just looks so fun, and it definitely looks really challenging, and some of the bosses look brutal as heck. So this game is right up my alley with visuals, gameplay, difficulty, and sound designs is 1930s, so that's a plus too. Cuphead looks amazing, and you know what? Later on next month, I'm actually going to purchase a Xbox One. In fact, not only, because I actually discussed this with someone, not only is this game going to get a Del Show review in the future, but I'm also going to be doing a Del Pals episode on Cuphead. So whenever the game is released, there will be a link here that will take you to the Cuphead playthrough. It'll be me and Black Cross playing it when it comes out. We already discussed this, and I'm excited to play this game because it looks so good! Ow! My knuckles. That's what happens when you fanboy. Your arms get blue. I'm gonna go put some ice on here real quick. And that's all the time we have for today, folks. So if you're excited about the games from E3, just comment below. Do you like my list? Are there games from my list that you are personally excited for? Let me know what you thought about this year's E3. I mean, this is one thing I love about E3 is conversation about games and such. It's a good old time to talk about games and share an interest and discover what type of games you're excited for. And it's always a great time. And now if you excuse me... oh, hi there, young goose. How you doing, buddy? You want some candy? I don't have any candy, but would you like some? I mean, you know, because you're such a adorable animal and oh God!
Get it? Because it's a type of Pokemon!
Hi everybody, thanks for watching my top 10 E3 games of 2016's list. Like I said before, me and Black Cross will be playing Cuphead on Del Mar Pals. The game isn't out yet as of this date or something, but until the game does release, there will be a little spot here that will take you to the first episode when that comes out. So yeah, whether it be November, December, or even January of 2017, definitely click right there. And also up here, you can see the top 10 games of E3 that I did last year. I actually mentioned a few games from last year on this video, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how different the list is. And then in the middle is a random video. I don't know what video it is, but it'll be a random vid I made, and yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see y'all in the next Del Mar Show. Oh, and I shouldn't really do this, but the next Del Mar Show episode, I don't really know how I'm gonna do this, but I'll give you guys a hint. That's your hint. Good luck guessing. I don't know.